What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? After a brief absence, we are back on Sports Etouffee. We got some LSU football to discuss, and we got Pelicans Summer League to discuss. All that and in between right here on Sports Etouffee. So let's get started. All right, so first up, let's talk some LSU football. And one position that has a lot of people questioning this going into the season is the secondary. Will it improve from last year? Will it not? What will it look like? Who's going to be starting? And which freshman is going to be? What is there going to be a freshman that's going to make a traumatic impact on the defense and the secondary in general? So right now, you have a lot of great young players that you acquired from the transfer portal. You have Denver Harris, Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut. And, I mean, you have some returners. You have Sage Ryan returning. You have Major Burns and Greg Brooks. You have your two safeties returning, which is huge. And then you have Welch, who was a freshman last year, who looks like he's going to be tremendous for the defensive side of the ball in the secondary. And you got the freshman who I think might make the most impact is Jordan Allen. But last year, many people was questioning the secondary, and it didn't look all that bad because you built it through the transfer portal just like you kind of did this year. I mean, last year you had Mekhi Gardner, who came from ULL. You had Jarek Bernard-Converse, who came from Oklahoma State. And then you had Kobe Richardson from McNeese, and then you had a few others like Joe Fouché and others. But this secondary looks like it's going to be better. And one player in particular I want to just talk about is Denver Harris. Was highly recruited by Texas A&M. Had some off-the-field issues over there at A&M. But I think he's going to be fine. There's no reported issues since he's gotten to LSU, but he might be a sleeper right now because if you look at the depth chart, they don't have him as a starting corner. They have Welch starting at one of the corner spots. They have Deuce Chestnut starting at nickel, and then they have Zy Alexander, the transfer from Southeastern, starting at the other corner. Now, could things change from now until the fall? Yeah, they definitely can. But right now, it looks like Denver Harris is going to be maybe backing up someone like Zy Alexander. So in this 3-3-5 system that Matt House runs, which is a nickel, for those who don't know, it seems to me that it's going to be Zy Alexander. You got LaTerrence Welch at the other corner spot. And then at the nickel, you're going to have Deuce Chestnut. And then at your safeties, you're going to have Greg Brooks and Major Burns, which them two returning is absolutely huge. So now, Sage Ryan, he is returning, but he had his struggles last year, and many of the LSU fans I talked to said that he needs to improve. And I think another year in the Matt House system could do him some good. And he can only get better. He was very young last year, and now Jordan Allen, highly recruited safety. I think he's a freshman. You hear raving reviews about this guy, and I think he's going to see the field early. But just like last year, like I mentioned, you built through the portal last year. Like I said, with names like Mekhi Gardner, Jarek Bernard-Converse, you had Kobe Richardson from McNeese. You had Joe Fouché come from Arkansas, but as a Louisiana native. Greg Brooks followed him, which he's still around. And you didn't do bad. You didn't do bad building through the portal. And this year, it looks like you build through the portal, but it's even better this time around. And I want to highlight just one player, because I know people are waiting for me to do this. I want to highlight Zy Alexander from Southeastern, which is my alma mater, of course. not trying to sound biased, but Zai might be one of the top two defensive backs on the entire LSU secondary or on the roster. I got to see this man play for at least 2 years when I was at Southeastern, and when I was at Southeastern, he was getting comparisons to Richard Sherman in a way because of his height and size. And he was a ball hawk when he was at Southeastern. And one thing that LSU kind of lacked last year was kind of a ball hawking corner or just a ball hawking defensive back in general. And Zai can bring that to this defense. That's one thing that I can say about Zai is he can bring the ball hawking skills to the secondary, which we definitely needed. And going into the season, many questioned how good is the secondary going to be. And I think it might take a couple games for them to get right, but I think you have a top 5, top 10, top 5 in the SEC secondary as it stands right now. And I think many people are going to be surprised. And they're very young. Zai Alexander's a junior. Denver Harris, sophomore. Chestnut from Syracuse is a junior. You got Greg Brooks and Major Burns back there. Jordan Allen's a freshman. Sage is a sophomore. Welsh is a sophomore, it looks like, according to this. I think you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine in the secondary. Now, like I already highlight Zai Alexander, but you can rotate in and out if you wanted to. Because like I said, according to this depth chart, you have Welch starting at corner 1 at the left corner spot, and you have Zai Alexander at the right corner spot, and Chestnut at nickel. Now, that could definitely change. Like I said earlier, that can change. So, getting these players, getting someone like a Denver Harris, in my opinion, was huge in the portal. And I think LSU is going to be fine in the secondary. Now, it may not look like it's going to be the strongest unit to others by the naked eye or the eye test, but I think we're going to be fine. I think once we roll around in summer camp and even going into the fall, you're going to see, I think the secondary has a chance to be strong and locked down. So, that being said, let's move on to our next topic, which is going to be Pelicans Summer League. So, Pelicans are now 1-1 in Summer League play. And one player that I want to just talk about, which, I mean, many people know my stance on Dyson Daniels. I wasn't too thrilled with the pick when we picked him. Last year he had his struggles. It seemed like last year, after that first Lakers matchup, he missed those 2 free throws. It seemed like his mental was from up here and just took a plummet off a cliff. But Dyson Daniels in the 2 games in Summer League so far has looked like he has taken the next leap. There's been improvements all around, and by the eye test, he shows like he's put in a lot of work. His defense looks stout. He's out there locking people down. He's blocking shots. He's getting steals. He's looking like the player that the Pelicans saw when they drafted him from that Australian team. And he looks like he's ready to make that next leap, and it's only been a year. And I am thoroughly impressed. He's scored around 20 points each game. And that is impressive to me. Now, another player that many people probably want to hear me talk about is Jordan Hawkins, the Pelicans draft pick from the 14th overall pick from UConn. And I gotta say, he is not afraid to let it fly. And many people can probably agree. I wouldn't care if he just shot it until he made it, because he can go 9 for 25, and I'd be okay with that, because it's going to fall eventually. It's going to come together for Jordan Hawkins eventually. And it looks like, just from on film from his college, which I definitely reevaluated before the draft, and that's why I moved him to number 1 on my board, but he can shoot it from any part of the court. He can shoot it from deep. He can shoot from mid range. He can shoot it from close. He can drive to the paint. He's a good finisher under the basket. He's had a lot of great reverse layups, and the shot isn't falling right now, but that's not deteriorating his confidence from him shooting. I mean, he had a great shot against the Warriors in Summer League just recently, where there was a defender right in his face, and he still shot it, and he made it from three. He's good. He can shoot it off balance. I mean, all the things that you kind of seen J.J. Redick do when he was on the Pelicans or when he was younger. It's kind of the similar traits that Jordan Hawkins has, but to me, it looks like he has Rip Hamilton traits. Kind of. He can shoot it from the parking lot. And I can't wait till to see the shots start falling down, because, I mean, he averaged 16 points per game at UConn, and right now, in Summer League play, he's averaging the same, 16 points per game. When a shot isn't falling, he's driving to the goal and doing things to help his team. I mean, if the shot ain't falling, he's driving to the basket. I love that. And ball handling in traffic could use some work, and when he's getting doubled, he looks like he panics a tad bit, but he has some great coaches. He's got Willie Green, James Borrega, Fred Vincent, and many others on the staff that can help him with that. And I think he will be all right. But one player that has jumped off, two players that have jumped off the page for me in Summer League play so far is Sebron and E.J. Liddell. E.J. Liddell, who many know that tore his ACL last year in Summer League in his first game. He looks smooth. There's no signs of rust at all on his injury. He may not be putting up like huge numbers right now, but he looks smooth. He's rebounding. He's passing the ball out. And I've said this from the beginning since the draft, even before when I was doing my film evaluation for the draft last year. He looks and plays kind of like Paul Millsap. And he could be the Pels version of Paul Millsap. And we can kind of use somebody like that because Paul Millsap was a 4 that can play the 5, kind of in a small ball 5. And Paul Millsap can shoot it from the 3-point line, of course. Mid-range was his game. And, of course, he was a paint beast when it comes to scoring. And E.J. Liddell looks like he's going to be that. And that is something that this team can use. Sebron, just against the Warriors, his 20-point performance definitely can't go unrecognized. He's been one of the best players on the Summer League team just in the 2 games that they've played so far from this time that we're recording this. And it looks like he's definitely going to still have his 2-way contract. I don't see anyone other than Sebron on the Summer League team that is not under contract that is going to be on that 2-way deal. I mean, his improvement going downhill has been tremendous. He's given out of college, he had comps of a mini version of Russell Westbrook, or just recently I heard of De'Aaron Fox kind of comparisons, but as 2 great players, so I'm not saying he is that. I'm just saying traits and the eye test, of course. And he was able to rebound against the Warriors. He was getting rebounds. He was going coast to coast. Sebron, I like a lot. Coming out of college, when he went on draft, I was thoroughly surprised. Now, does he take Kyra Lewis's spot when the time comes that Kyra gets traded? It's very possible because it seems like this team is very much done with Kyra Lewis Jr. So, De'Aaron Sebron is interesting. He could be a permanent roster spot, but it's only been 2 games at the time of this recording. he looks like he's improved a lot, but I really love his game, like Russell Westbrook-esque. So, but before I end this show, I couldn't end this show without talking about Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens going 1-2 in the Major League Baseball draft. And that is the first time in Major League Baseball draft history that teammates have gone first and second overall. And it winds up being players from LSU. So I couldn't be happier for them and all the other LSU players that's going to be drafted. But we are out of time here, folks. This has been a great episode. Be sure to like, comment, or even subscribe to us. Hit that subscribe button, definitely. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at the Soulman57, Soul spelled S-O-U-L. And definitely find me on Facebook. Just search my name. Can't miss me. I keep everyone updated on all sports news. So, that being said, I'm Logan Graffia. This has been another episode of Sports Etouffee. We shall see you next time.